Ever since Battle for Dream Island 1 came out, the eliminations of BFDI have been clearly rigged, but it feels like everyone is super oblivious about it, or no one really seems to talk about it. These strategies have been clearly used in all the seasons of BFDI, especially with the winners of Fiery and Flower. They were clearly rigged for them to win. There were clear-cut favorites of some characters winning BFDI then randomly get eliminated, like Puffball and BFDIA, or Gelatin and BFB. This was not a coincidence or like something crazy happening in the voting and why people changed their minds. This was all planned out. But me saying Jack and Jellyfy rigged the eliminations is a very broad term and can mean lots of different things. Is Jack and Jellyfy lying about the votes? Well, there are some suspicions with some of the eliminations. I do not think they are doing this. But then you may ask, wait, how does that make that rigged if they're not controlling the votes or completely lying about the votes? Then isn't that seem fair? Well, I'm going to be going into that and deep diving into certain eliminations that seem rigged and set up by Jack and Jellyfy. Again, I'm not trying to call them out or anything or saying this is bad or messed up because it is their show. I'm not trying to send hate towards Jack and Jellyfy at all. I'm just kind of explaining something I've noticed in the BFDI episodes and a recurring factor for some certain character eliminations. I believe the most obvious one is Rocky from BFDIA and Teapot. I mean, if you're in the BFDI community and know anything about it, Rocky is one of the most hated characters now, and I feel like it's pretty obvious why. Rocky was getting a lot of love because people thought he was an adorable or a cute character, and Jack and Jellyfy saw this love, and now Rocky's one of the most hated characters, and the reason because of that is Rocky started messing up his team and didn't really have any good character dynamics with any of the other characters, and just kind of made Rocky annoying, which led to Rocky's elimination in BFDIA. And also Rocky's team being put back up for elimination in the Power of 2 is again not a coincidence. When writers write their object show and they put a team up for eliminations, there's clear characters that want to save and there's characters that want to down. There's obvious characters that they don't want to be saved. Why they keep putting Rocky's team up for elimination is because most of those characters don't really have super insane dynamics or they're not very interesting characters. And that leads to them derailing Rocky's character an insane amount to make Rocky become one of the most hated characters and he loses most of his support. And I'm assuming a lot of this Rocky love was not intended by Jack and Jellyfy. I'm going pretty vague into Rocky's character derailment, but I am going to make a longer form video about this, so if you want to watch that, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Also, probably the biggest case I see from this is Puffball and BFDIA. I mean, she was winning all the fan favorites, she was getting all the likes, she wasn't getting very many dislikes. It was pretty clear Puffball was the favorite to win, and then out of nowhere, Puffball just throws away her team's chance of winning, and then it just becomes the villain, which obviously leads to the Puffball hate coming in, and that led to her getting a bunch of dislikes and her getting eliminated. But I mean, again, I'm going over the pretty obvious ones, but in this video I kind of want to go over the subtle ones and see like which ones people didn't really talk about, or people haven't really noticed, but ones I noticed, and like ones that like were clear cut, the writer trying to get a character out. The first I'm going to be talking about is actually Teardrop's 2 eliminations in BFDI and BFDIA. Teardrop and BFDI's elimination was obviously one that isn't really talked about that much, but I feel like was an obvious way of the writers to rig the eliminations, and this is when the third team got implemented. And back when there was 3 teams, the team who got first place in the challenge before got to pick between the 2 characters who had the most votes, and it was Snowball and Teardrop, and Snowball got so many more votes than Teardrop, like I don't know how many more, and then they voted Snowball back in, and obviously this gave the writers a lot more leverage with the eliminations. And then in BFDIA, a YouTuber with a very big community went and told their fan base to dislike Teardrop's video, that because that's how they used the voting in BFDIA. There's a video you dislike it, and they told their fans to go spam dislike Teardrop's video. And I'm not fully aware if Jack and Jellyfy knew about this. I think they were aware of this, but again, I'm not entirely sure. But this obviously led to Teardrop's elimination with the spam dislikes, and that's why it kind of didn't really make sense when Teardrop got the most likes and also the most dislikes. But now with this backstory and this information, it's pretty obvious why Teardrop got eliminated. And I think the reason why they didn't stop it was because they wanted to build around Coiney's character more than Teardrop's. And Teardrop could have got bailed out by this, because when she landed on the prize in BFDIA, one of the prizes was you can be immune to the final 16, but then she didn't choose that one, she chose the other option. So clearly the writers could have implemented a way for Teardrop to stay, but they didn't. And then probably also the biggest one in BFDI was Pencil's elimination, because she literally won the staring contest against the David, and for some reason they like made this thing, and I guess it was a joke, and it was a pretty funny joke when they did the no 3-digit numbers on the scoreboard. So then Pencil got the least amount of points, and she got put up elimination against Fiery and Spongy, and we all know at that time Fiery was the fan favorite and Spongy got 5th place, so obviously Spongy was a fan favorite too, which obviously was going to lead to Pencil's demise. And then obviously the non-viewer votes with Tennis Ball and Ice Cube. Tennis Ball and Ice Cube were put up for elimination so many times and they just weren't getting eliminated, so Jack and Jellyfy I feel like just kind of had to cut them off themselves. But I mean, during BFDI and BFDIA, I wouldn't even really say this is a big problem. I mean, everything I'm saying could just genuinely be not true, because this is all just speculation. However, I do believe this was definitely used in BFB. With obviously the whole Free Smart Alliance being completely derailed and just getting them off the map and just no sort of story with them at all. I mean, clearly just trying to get Pencil immediately right off the map and match so they could give Bubble a better storyline, and then also with Sponge's horrible character derailment, kind of like making him mean out of nowhere and just made him look really bad. And then also Leafy's elimination in BFB, like, I just don't know where Leafy's controlling attitude came from. I mean, Leafy in Season 1 was pretty self-aware. And Leafy could definitely be a little arrogant at times, but I mean, really, like, nothing like this, so, like, nothing super controlling and being super overly forced nice. Because I feel like Leafy's niceness wasn't super forced, but in BFB it was definitely forced. And then the last one I'm going to be talking about is actually the one that led to Flower's elimination, and that was Gelatin and Lollipop. I wouldn't really say Lollipop got, like, derailed. Just Lollipop kind of stopped getting lines in an episode before her elimination, and that kind of derailed Gelatin's character, because a lot of Gelatin's character leaned on Lollipop, and instead of building Gelatin's character, they kind of just let him stay and, like, kind of let him fade into the background. But I kind of feel like they were purposely giving Gelatin immunities or going against characters they knew he would be to be safe, so Flower would have an easier win at the end. Because, I mean, Flower won by a landslide. Because I feel like Gelatin was the clear-cut favorite at, like, the final 6, but then after Gelatin's derailment, I wouldn't even say derailment, just, like, again, fading into the background, I let the Flowers win, and I feel like that was the writers clearly doing that to lead Flower to victory. But tell me what you think in the comment section down below. I know it's been 2 months since I've uploaded, but I'm going to try to upload more consistently. Just school and stuff's been in the way a lot. Anyways, goodbye.